Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I have lost so much respect. I think we all have for FSU. I mean, you had two choices. Yeah, I mean, you had two choices. You could have nutted up and said, okay, we didn't make it in. Let's go give Georgia all they can handle and go out and take this win from them. Or you could do what you did and pack it in and sue everybody and have half the team opt out. Yeah, like just take your ball and go home. Like, man. And then you go out and have 63 hung up on you and can only kick a field goal in response. So, like, I have no pity for FSU. Said it from the beginning. Such is life, my friend. Such is life.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph. I am JD Kozad here alongside my partner in crime, the Bonnie and Clyde. Maybe not Bonnie and Clyde, that's a little too sweet. But I'm here with Cody Murphy, and we have a lot to talk about. Cody Murphy, tell me how your weekend went watching some of the best college playoff football in all of history, probably.
Well, we knew coming into this these matchups that it was possibly, arguably, the most highly competitive. You know, we could see any of these teams winning. I mean, it was easily, you could see Alabama going to winning another national championship, or you could see Michigan, Texas, another blue blood program, and a Washington team that's been winning close games and blowing teams out, all throughout the season. So this was really highly anticipated for me. It was a great time watching them. There was some slow parts, but hey, in every football game, you're going to have, some it's going to be mundane sometimes. So,
yeah,
but I thought and then we can dissect this a little bit further, but like my initial thoughts, Michigan, team of destiny. They've been fighting adversity all year. Harbaugh seems like he's the man. Nothing can faze him. He serves 2 suspensions this year, which is nuts if you really think about it.
Yeah.
And still has the team in the national championship as the favorite. It's just an insane story if you think about it. But on the flip side of the token, you got Washington, who's 14-0. Has probably the quarterback that deserved the Heisman in Penix. But, it went to Jaden Daniels. That's another discussion. But Penix absolutely showed out. I feel like this was his stage. This was like his breakout. Like, this is what we're going to remember him for.
Moment, yeah.
Right, yeah. This is what we're going to remember him for. No matter what, if he goes out and throws a dud in the national championship, we're still going to remember that dazzler that he had against Texas in the playoff game. So, very exciting.
He put on the show.
But the one thing I was going to say about Michigan, play of the game for me is that tipped ball.
Yeah.
That it got tipped, but somehow it still had enough juice on it to make it to the receiver. And the receiver had to make an adjustment on the catch. Catches it, stays in bounds, gets an extra 5-6 yards. That was the play of the game for me. That pretty much, after that point, I was like, man, this is Michigan's game. Alabama's offense stalled out. Milroe, I think the moment was too big for him.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat anybody when your quarterback can't throw a 12-yard out.
Yeah.
Or like a fucking sit route in the middle of the field. He can't throw. All he could throw was the deep ball. Mm-hmm. And that's effective sometimes, but he's not Michael Penix, so.
No. Which is crazy to say now. You're like, yeah, he's not, he's good, but he's no Michael Penix. That's how you know that you put on a damn show when the lights are shining the brightest. It was fun though, dude. I feel like most times
it's been a ride this year. It's been really enjoyable.
Yeah. Most times I feel like I can shut the games down and kind of just call it a night. I really don't have to stay all the way through, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah,
it
was
1 o'clock for you, midnight for me.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and Kayla was going to sleep, and she, rolls over and looks at me, and I'm still looking at my phone watching the game. I'm like, I've got to watch the fucking
you
last
had to
second,
finish it out.
Like, this is insane how good of a game this is. I mean, both games are really good. Definitely good for Michigan, good for Washington. It's like I will say it is a breath of fresh air that we're getting two teams that have never been in the Final Four phase make it to the national championship. I think this is huge for football. I think this is showing that the tides are turning more or less. I mean, you still got your big namesakes, but the fact that it's Michigan, who has been, unfortunately, I have to say this, long deserving, been building up a powerhouse. They've made their way there, and then Washington, who I don't think anybody really predicted it to make to where it is, and Penix, 2 ACLs, and being written off, and it's incredible. College football is peak cinema. I will say that. You want to go ahead? Let's dissect a little bit, maybe even talk a little bit more about Alabama, Michigan. We'll start there because it was the first game. The overtime thriller, J.J. McCarthy looked like he was going to start off really bad, play overturned, and ended up having probably one of the greatest Michigan quarterback games of all time. I know you said Milroe couldn't throw a simple sit route, but I felt like he did give everything that he could. And when it came down to it, the ball stayed in his hands. Maybe we just dissect that last play of the game.
He has been the engine of the offense all year for Alabama, and this is not me like talking down on Milroe. I think Milroe has a bright future. If he can develop the ability to throw over the middle and throw the intermediate routes and the short routes, it's going to open up his game even more. He's already a great threat, kind of like an unpolished Justin Fields in a way.
Yeah. Justin
Fields with less accuracy, but still with the running ability. But, I mean, it was just Michigan figured him out. And that Michigan's defense is one of the best defense in the nation. I think after that performance, it kind of lifts them up to the main spot in that discussion. But
I agree.
Michigan's run game, they just dominate the line of scrimmage. Really, is that's what's been their stick all year, is dominate, play physical, dominate the line of scrimmage, take care of the ball. What Harbaugh is known for. That's why he's such a good coach, because he instills those priorities in his players. So it just seems like it's their year. I think I said it maybe after the Ohio State game. It seems this is the Michigan, it's team of destiny type feel. But what's so funny is you could also say that about Washington. So like, that's what's so interesting and compelling about this year. This game coming up is I could easily see either one of these teams. I mean, both of them are a storybook ending, no matter what. So,
yeah, I would like to see Washington win it, obviously, and I see a lot of the people who are like, rooting for their conference or whatever, but I just can't bring it to myself to root for Michigan. I will say good for them, but I'm not going to. I'd like to see Penix do it.
Yeah, I understand.
That's how deep that rivalry runs. It'd be like if Louisville. I mean, I guess I don't know.
I mean, I would probably root for Louisville, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Cool. I was like, you might actually. It's just like fuck.
Can't do it. I understand.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, it was a good game.
What I will say about Alabama, that one was on the center, man. The snap was low all game, and it never got better. And I feel like that had been an issue like the whole year. Was the snap? Milroe, the snap had been an issue. He had that. I mean, think about the Auburn game, the one that was snapped on the ground, and Milroe has to go back and recover it, and then they have to throw it 28 yards to the end zone or whatever. So I feel like that. I think the kid even entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I saw today that he has put his name in the transfer portal. I'm assuming Nick Saban pulled him aside and said, "Hey, look, buddy, I've got some guys coming in, and I don't see you playing next year the way things are looking." But I will give Nick Saban a hats off as to where the start of the season was, from losing to Texas and, narrowly escaping USF. I mean, what a coaching job. This might be one of his best coaching jobs, truthfully, because it looked like it was the end of an era at the beginning of the season. And to turn this team around to damn near knock off the class of their own, Michigan, from this season is absolutely insane. I have all hats off to Nick Saban. I've come to appreciate and respect Nick Saban without a doubt.
Well, it's another part of that discussion that we had last episode. It's greatness. Greatness personified in every facet of the game. And I think it speaks to his brilliance that people kind of forgot because they were so talented for so long. And they're still super, super fucking talented. Yeah. But it kind of showed this year that it's not the same talent as the Alabama standard. So it speaks to his ability as a coach to get that team to buy in and not – because it would have been easy for them to fold, especially after that Florida State game. That was pretty much considered a loss in a lot of people's eyes because that was one of the ugliest football games you're going to see all year. And for him to instill that resiliency and get these kids to buy in and really believe that they could still make a run for the championship and even getting to this college football playoff, beating Georgia. I mean, it's all hats off to Nick Saban. Yeah. He's bona fide legend. It probably will go down as the best college football coach of all time.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably the number one. If he's not already there, he's going to end up being there.
I think people forget that he won a national championship at LSU before he even got to Alabama.
I think people do forget that, and I was about to say, it's like another thing was he has won national titles elsewhere. I know his NFL gig wasn't anything for him to be proud of, but his whole scene in college has been nothing but success. And ever since he stepped into the limelight, he has absolutely been the front runner for coach. Every year in, year out, it seems like he is the forefront of what coaching is. I think he is the outline. He sets the precedent for everything. If anything, he might be the commissioner of the NCAA, and we don't all know it.
Well, what's so different about college football compared to, say, NFL is the coaches are the celebrities of the game. We talk about the coaches, I feel like, way more than the players, when it comes to college football. We talk about the Heisman race. We talk about, award winners and all this, but we talk about coaches because that's where you win in college football is you have to get a good coach, a good program, a good staff around that coach. And in the NFL, you have I'm trying to think of how to say this. It's like you can plan, you can't plan out longer with coaches because you might have to fire that coach in 2 years. But in college football, you plan on having that guy 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 years. That's the plan whenever you hire somebody. It's not, if we don't win in 2 years, we're going to fire you. So I feel like the coaches, that's why coaches are so much more important to the college football game. And man, you think about all the great coaches we've seen this year, all the great coaching jobs. Saban probably takes coach of the year. I think Caleb DeBoer, the Washington football head coach, is another guy who I could easily see him, getting coach of the year. So
college football's in good hands, we'll say that. I mean, it seems more and more so that a lot of guys are going to these college jobs, especially now with the NIL. I mean, colleges are going to have as good an argument as any NFL front office will because they can get paid just as good or better. They have, all kinds of resources to pay these coaches. And man, there's so many good coaches. Harbaugh himself, I mean, to make a team believe in everything, believe in themselves so much that they could, find their way back here after such a poor performance against a TCU team. They ended up getting blown out and not being there, and all the adversity that they faced this season, the allegations, the Connor Stallions, and everything. They've been to Ohio State. They whoop Ohio State. They bring Ohio State in. They beat Ohio State, and it's just, wow.
It's been a run for the Wolverines.
I got a big fuck you for Jim Harbaugh.
As far as Texas goes, it just seemed like they were playing catch up.
Yeah.
It was a shootout for sure.
Yeah,
and it really came down to just a few plays. Especially I got a full disclosure here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Whenever Washington got the ball back on the onside kick, I walked out of the room because I thought it was over, And so I can't remember what I did, but when I came back, Texas had the ball on like the 20-yard line. So I missed that little segment. What happened because I figured Washington was just going to knee it and run the clock out.
They tried to pass the ball instead of trying to run the clock out. Obviously, their run game, Washington was struggling in their run game, but
their main guy was hurt.
Their series of pass plays just didn't land where they wanted.
They passed it.
Yeah.
Why don't you just knee it in that situation?
Yeah. And then short punt, decent return, one play, and they were literally right there. Like one play, the receiver, I can't remember his name, but he had the dreads.
Mitchell.
Yeah, he was running down the field. He didn't get the call, but he got a push off on the DB, went up, made a nice catch, and they were right there, basically right there. Just luck of the draw, things worked out. It felt like Texas
special teams.
Say again.
So what a night for special teams, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of it seemed like no returner really had track of the ball, which might be play and the big game, jitters, jives, whatever, but still it didn't seem like anybody settled in. I was about to say that Texas offense didn't seem like they settled in at all. Maybe that first drive they had some mojo, but then after that it was like, it felt really loosey-goosey and like out of whack and out of sorts.
Yeah, it seems like they never found a rhythm until it was almost too late.
Yeah. And then you put it in comparison to what Penix was doing, and it just looked like a one-sided onslaught. For the game to be 37-31 was impressive. Because if you go and look at stat lines, you're like, oh, Penix dominated, but really there was no run game for Washington, and Texas, kind of spread out their offense the best they could. They got chunk plays. They didn't get the small stuff, and that's what it came down to at the end of the game. The most reliable piece in that entire game was Penix, his accuracy, and I'm going to keep playing back to that because the dude looked like Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl.
Every single deep ball was on point. And the Washington receiving core is one of the best I've ever seen. As far as just catchability and being able to make those tough catches. It was
creating space. They were losing defenders. Some of them, they were gaps, but they were just shredding their DBs. Adunze and Polk, you got a combined 147 yards on 11 receptions. That's insane. Or 200. Yeah. I'm sorry, 247 yards. 125 and 122. That's nuts. It was fun though, dude. What a fun college football play. If I couldn't ask for more, I know everybody had their speculations with.
And I think everybody has to sit back and admit, no matter who you root for, the committee got it right this year.
Yeah.
We want to rip on them whenever, they put TCU in, but we have to give them credit. This year, they made the right picks.
Yeah, they did the right thing. They got the 4 best teams. There is still an argument for people to be like, well, Georgia this, Georgia that. Well, Georgia lost the one game they needed to win, and that was to beat Alabama. And although it was a 3-point
they could have
loss,
lost any other game on their schedule and still probably made it, but they lost the one game they could not lose.
Yep.
That's so tragic.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. And then they go out and show Florida State, hey, who's your daddy?
Yeah.
One good time.
I was going to bring this up, but I have lost so much respect. I think we all have for FSU. I mean, you had
down
two
the
choices. Yeah, I mean, you had two choices. You could have, nutted up and said, okay, we didn't make it in. Let's go give Georgia all they can handle and go out and take this win from them. Or you could do what you did and pack it in and sue everybody and have half the team opt out.
Baby,
yeah, like just take your ball and go home. Like, man. And then you go out and have 63 hung up on you and can only kick a field goal in response. So, like, I have no pity for FSU. I said it from the beginning. Such is life, my friend. Such is life. Just, get out of here, Florida State. I don't want to hear nothing out of you for a while.
Could you imagine, though, they did put them in the playoffs and then they lost to they would have played Michigan and Michigan would have ran it down their throat. So it would have been a 400-yard rush.
It would have been like a 34-18 game or something, or 38-24 or something. Like, I could see that, but like 60, Georgia literally broke their own record for the biggest point margin in a bowl game. It was like 56 from the national championship last year, and now it's 60, from them beating FSU this year. So, man, well, we all knew it was coming. The line, I think the line in that game was like 22, 23. I took it, and they ended up being 60. So, God, that's crazy.
Yeah. Some of these bowl games have been fun. Some have been sad. I know that both of our teams lost in probably the ugliest of fashion. Kentucky falling to Clemson 38-35. My Ohio State Buckeyes only putting up mustering 3 points against Missouri. I don't even want to really – that whole game, I was like, we're going to lose. I hope Missouri wins because we don't deserve it. We don't deserve to be here. We put up a shit showing. I don't even want to talk about it.
Also, your quarterback, your starter opted or transferred. And then the one guy you've been practicing with, what was his name? Brown?
Yeah, Devin Brown.
He gets hurt on like the first or second series of the game, and then you're playing with a true freshman for the rest of the game. So they were pretty heavily handicapped. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but and Missouri, this was their Super Bowl. They hadn't won a bowl game in 9 years. And, the stars just aligned for, I looked at the line before this game started and I was like, I don't know if Ohio State can cover. So I ended up taking Missouri money line. And you could just feel it, that Ohio State wasn't there. They had a lot of opt-outs too.
It seemed like we were out of it from the get, to be honest. I had no faith. Once Devin Brown went out, it seemed like the air was sucked out of the room, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll regroup and try for next year. And I know that we were looking at Riley Leonard from K-State, which would be fun. We were looking at, we got Aaron Nolan coming in, so I'm hopeful for Ohio State, but I didn't get to watch any of that Kentucky game. I didn't even expect the score to be as good as it was. What happened in that game?
Well, I only got to watch the final drive where Clemson took the go-ahead touchdown, but I was keeping up with the score. But honestly, I thought Clemson was going to blow Kentucky out. I thought it would be probably a 2-touchdown game at least, if not more. So whenever I started watching, it was 35-30. Clemson had the ball, around midfield. Kentucky's defense, all we have to do is get off the field, and we basically win this game. Clemson has no timeouts. Or no, they had timeouts left, but it would have been very hard for them to get the ball back if we were able to, stop them on fourth down. Anyway, so we get them into a 3rd and 8. Mind you, we've been bringing pressure all game. We've had 6 sacks previous to this point in the game. We get them in a 3rd and 18 situation. Our DBs are playing, our corners are given a 15, 16-yard cushion. Clemson ends up gaining I think it was 16 yards to bring it to 4th and 2, and then they ran it up the middle and got the 4th down conversion. Then they go on to take the go-ahead touchdown and win 38-35. Kentucky had 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter. I think they had another turnover earlier in the game. It was just it's just the story of Kentucky's season in a nutshell. Basically, we were in position to win. All we had to do was take care of business, and we pissed down both legs and ended up giving the game away on a bunch of silly, what I think is coaching decisions. Why are we not bringing pressure when we've been successful, getting to the quarterback all game? And then the final drive, you're not going to bring pressure. You're going to rush 3. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. And so it's just silly turnovers, silly penalties, silly play calls, silly defensive schemes. So honestly, it's a relief. I'm glad it's over. I don't want to watch this team anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can be better next year.
Thankfully, our teams can put it to rest for the season. Only 2 teams remain. That is Michigan and Washington. The spread is 5 points. Washington is the underdog. Michigan, obviously, favorites. If you had to go right now, put a bet in, say we'll put your life on the line, Murph, who you got in this game?
To win or?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll let you play the game. Obviously, you can say, how you want to play it. Does Michigan win and Washington cover? Does Washington win? Does Michigan win and cover? How do you see?
I think Michigan wins. And they cover.
5 points.
I think Washington, this is my analysis, I think Washington has not gone up against a defense of this caliber at this point. The Pac-12 is not really known for its defense.
Yeah.
I know they had some low-scoring games, which would, maybe indicate that there was some defensive, it was a defensive game. I think the Arizona game, they only won 15-8 or something like that.
Yeah.
So they have been in low-scoring games, but I think Michigan has been in low-scoring games all year.
All year, yeah.
Aside from the few blowouts that they had, Michigan has been in a lot of close games this year, and they just know how to win. And I think the running attack is going to be too heavy for that Washington defense. I think McCarthy is going to be able to find success with his connection with Roman Wilson. I could see it going either way, but if I had to put money on it, I'll probably take Michigan.
Yeah, I respect that. I do believe that Michigan's defense is different. They control the ball very well. They control the clock. I think what is going to boil down to is, I could see it. It's so 50-50 for me. I do think 5 points is disrespectful to Washington, but in the same breath, Michigan is that good. Now, this is a different passing attack that I don't believe Michigan has seen at all this year.
No, that's very true as well. Michigan has not faced an offense of this caliber either. So.
Alabama's offense was probably the best offense that they faced this year. The best receiver they faced was Murph, and they shut him down when it mattered most. But they had Kyle McCord. They didn't have Michael Penix. I'm pulling, obviously, as I said prior, I'm pulling for Washington, regardless of the outcome. I think it would be, good for football. Whoever wins it, it's good storylines. But if I had to bet everything on it, I would say that Michigan wins it, but Washington covers. I could see it being a field goal game. And it seems like every time I do this thing where I never get it right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you better watch it because it's going to be good. But I do have this question, lastly, before we move on to the games that matter in the NFL. Is Harbaugh going to stay at Michigan this next year or not?
That's a very good question. And I wish that I could say with any, crumb of certainty one way or the other, but I honestly don't know. I could see him winning the national championship this year, staying at Michigan for the next, 5 years until, the investigation on this, which I don't know what might happen with the whole sign stealing thing, but it's going to be a while before we get an actual official investigative report about it. So I think Michigan will do anything. That university will do anything to keep him. I think if it's a matter of money, they'll come up with the money.
Yeah.
But I could also see him going back to the NFL because there's some very appealing openings coming up this next year with the Chargers, among others.
Yeah,
the Chargers, the Raiders, and there'll be a few more after the season's over. So
imagine if the Patriots job ends up opening up,
Yeah, I mean, so there will be some interest there. But on the other side of that, I think Harbaugh is a true blue-blooded Michigan man. I think he loves Michigan football. He's loyal to that program. He played there. He's a god there. You know what I mean? Like people will worship the ground that he walks on. So it'd be hard to give that up. I think it honestly depends. It depends on what is going to happen with this investigation.
Yeah. Now, if they pass down something where they're like bowl ineligible or whatever, I could definitely see him deciding, I've done my due. There's not much I can do here, but.
What do you think about now they're saying that Ohio State did the same thing back in 2019 and 2020?
I wouldn't be shocked. I wanted a further investigation. I didn't, as much as I was on the Connor Stallions thing, I think it was because he was the most interesting person, like the only person of, it's like a scapegoat. Obviously, he's the person that you get to be mad at. I feel like, and McCarthy said it today, and I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, you're playing sick now that Ohio State's terrible or whatever. No, I agree. It's the same thing as the Astros when they got caught a couple years ago for stealing signs. The whole league's doing it. Just one guy was sloppy enough to get caught, and they're going to be the scapegoat, and that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, I think more likely than not, it'll just be a much to do about nothing. I think they'll probably just be like, all right, everybody does it. We're going to vacate these 3 wins, blah, 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 blah. And then everybody will fucking forget about it because nobody even cares about it anyway. It's just people who are out to get Harbaugh, I feel like. But
and nobody likes Michigan except for Michigan people, I feel like. So I think everybody's just like,
it's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious.
I'll say it because their history is good. It's like Ohio State. Nobody likes Ohio State except for Ohio State fans.
Well, nobody likes Kentucky basketball fans except Kentucky basketball fans. And even Kentucky basketball fans don't like Kentucky basketball fans sometimes,
Swear to God. It be like that. It do be like that, Lord. We'll see what comes of it. But that was a good, 30-minute talk on college football. Football was what ruled our weekend, and we still have a whole lot more to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, we tried last week to cut out games that, were uninteresting, no headlines, save ourselves some time. And this week we're going to do the same. It's going to be the MO moving forward. And I think the most important points are where we start. One of them being the Browns clinch. I know we were recording while the game was going on, and we both picked the Browns. But the Browns clinch. There's obviously an argument to have Stefanski as coach of the year for everything that he's endured. And the real question is, what do they do with Joe Flacco this year if they go out and make a deep run in the playoffs?
Man, that is a hard one. There's a lot of predicaments that these teams are going to find themselves in the offseason. But you paid Watson all this money. Do you really want to? I think you should bring them both back.
Yeah. Make them compete for it.
Bring them both back, have a competition, make Watson earn the spot. If he gets beat out by a 38-year-old Joe Flacco, then he doesn't need to be, then you pay him and then you cut him. Yeah. Or you trade him. Yeah. That's pretty much cut and dry that he's not going to work out in Cleveland if he can't beat out Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco's been playing, he's been playing S-tier football, but they're paying Deshaun Watson all this money. You have to get value, or you have to get value either on the field or in a trade package.
Yeah. Somewhere, somehow. And I don't think that he has much value at this point. The best game that he put up was the game that he got injured. And I just don't see it. I say you make him compete, and you just bite the bullet. If he gets beat out, you let Flacco ride, let him go down a superhero. And if that's the case, then so be it. And that's the story of the Browns.
My only question is I don't know if Joe Flacco can play an 18 game or a 17 game.
Probably not.
17 game
also,
season.
If they go out and do something crazy and like win the AFC or whatever, or it may even happen they roll around and win a Super Bowl. If I'm him, I do call it retirement, because now you are Hall of Fame locked. You do need,
for sure.
To do nothing else. You could go to the house and say, "Thank you, Cleveland. I appreciate you. If something else happens, call me when there's 5 game left. I'll do it all over again." If I was him, I think that's going to be the way of aging players now. As Odell started it. Just go home, sit down.
Type deal.
Yeah, go home, sit down. Call me when you need a guy late in the season. Let's make a run.
I mean, I could see it. I could see that we have seen guys like Ocho Cinco, Terrell Owens.
Yep.
Try to get on these rosters as an aging player, and Julio Jones. I mean,
Julio Jones caught 2 touchdowns this last week, and we all wrote him off.
That's what I'm saying. So I could definitely see that being a path for some of these older guys.
Yeah, good for Cleveland. That was a good showing. Flacco, another 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns. The Jets, abysmal. I think they have high hopes for next season. But Browns, they are pretty much locked into the 5 seed. They'll probably have they'll have a good matchup. I can't remember who I was looking at. I think it's still a lot of rotating pieces, but it could be the Texans, could be the Bills, could be. I think I played all the scenarios out, but I'll get to that later. Another game that I think was highly important that we need to discuss, and it's not even because of what the players were doing, maybe so, but the referees in this Lions-Cowboys game. Do you think he reported?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's obvious that the guy reported. I mean, there's no question about that. Is it not me, or is it me, or has the refereeing, the officiating been so bad this year? I feel like this is it stands out to me as one of the worst years in officiating that I can remember. Even going back to remember when we had the replacement refs?
Yeah,
because the refs went on strike or whatever.
They went on strike.
It's been bad this year, man, and I think the league really has to, this offseason has to think about regulating, having a certain level of standard that these refs need to be, because if you're going to hold coaches and players accountable, referees need to be held to that same level of scrutiny. And because it's just as important to the game as anything else, that you have clear and concise, organized officiating.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But to answer your question, yes, the lineman did report.
Yeah. Taylor Decker. I know that Campbell came out and said that this was something that they talked to the referees about pregame and halftime. They made they let these referees know that there's going to be something like this, a play that comes up. Do not be confused. And then they sent out 3 guys to kind of throw off who was going to be an eligible target. And in that whole process, after already being pre-warned, the referees still get confused. And it seems to me more and more, as much as a conspiracy guy that I am, it's always like the Cowboys always catch the fucking lucky break. And I don't understand how that always happens.
Well, this was a Christmas gift. They got 2 gifts on Sunday.
2 gifts.
One on Saturday and one on Sunday. But, yeah, you can't, I don't understand how something can be explained, and then literally it happens, and you still get confused on what the Lions are trying to do. All right, all that being said, I think after the second penalty, you have to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
you have to kick the extra point, go to overtime, try to get the win. Because yes, you can bitch and moan about the refs, on that one particular play, but you can't bitch about it going for it, not getting it again, and then they get another penalty and getting a third shot at that PAT, and you still don't decide to. All right, maybe we should just kick the field goal and go to overtime.
Yeah. So
that one's on Dan Campbell. We can talk about refereeing, but that one's on the coach.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'll say he's like a guy who was so stubborn in his selection. He's like, we're not changing up. But I could also see like the Madden player in me. He's like, I'll just call the same play again, see if I'll catch him off guard. I'll just call the same play again. See if
that was the game, and that's probably the difference between them getting the 2 seed and the Cowboys getting the 2 seed.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate. And the Cowboys getting the 2 seed because they've got Washington this weekend, even if the Eagles win with their loss against the Cardinals, which I'll just bring up lightly, which was abysmal. It allows Dallas to basically secure the 2 seed. Philly has pissed away their opportunity to be the 2 seed, be the 1 seed, and now we're going to drop all the way down to the 5 seed. The 5
Philly
seed.
was up 21-6 at halftime of this game.
I know, bro. It's just, oh my God.
And then gave up 15 in the third, 14 in the fourth, and lose 35-31. That was a disgusting loss. I could not believe that. I had more faith in Philly than that, but this last month has been brutal. Absolute brutal stretch. And I know I texted you. We texted a little bit about this, but I just don't understand why Sirianni is kind of getting a pass in all of this.
Yeah,
I know they went to the Super Bowl last year. I get it. He lost both his coordinators. I get it, but this last month has really, really been like an eye opener as far as what does Sirianni actually do? Because I know he's not calling the plays anymore. He's not calling the defense anymore. So what does he actually do besides just like acting like a jackass?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think Sirianni will be under the gun this next season without a doubt if things don't change. But I will say, as for, kind of how everything's been pursued in the media towards the Philly faithful, the birds. I'll say the birds. They pursued AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts as a leader, and it's like they've turned this whole narrative. But AJ Brown came out today, did 13 minutes with the media, sat down, watched the whole thing, and I'm not even one to get wrapped up in that. But he spoke on Sirianni, coordinators, and it kind of felt like a revival that this team needed. Your big superstar steps up, addresses the media, shuts down all this negative shit, and sets the president again. This has been on us. We haven't executed. We've let ourselves down. The only people that can fix this is us, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'm hoping for a big turnaround. And I didn't want to really talk too big on the Eagles because it's just been, it feels like we've been so negative. I've been so negative lately, especially, talking about the Eagles, going into games knowing that, feeling like we're going to lose. So I'm going to be the first person to change the mindset as well and say, we're going to win this week against the Giants. We're going to go ahead and go into the playoffs. We have the same record that the Ray Lewis Ravens did. A couple veterans going into the losing, 4 of the last 5. And going into the playoffs and making a run to a Super Bowl, and I'm going to believe that is the narrative following pursuit there.
Well, I still think Philly has plenty of potential, but they have to start making some major adjustments because obviously what they're doing right now is not conducive to winning football. But they have the talent, and in the first half of the season they were on fire. So
on fire.
We'll see if they can figure it out. I think they have to have a good get-right game against the Giants this week. They need to have a good showing, put up some points, play some solid defense, get their confidence back,
Yeah. I definitely agree. I'm hoping for a good game against the Giants. Tyrod Taylor has been looking good, and we just played them last week. So if anything, let's get it right. Let's get on time. Let's get what we're looking for and make the most of it. That'll be enough of Philly. the Cowboys, the NFC East. We'll stop talking about them. That's pretty much set in stone, the 2 and the 5 seed, no matter what happens. I've looked into it. I did a lot of playoff scenarios today. I don't know, maybe we should say anything about the Ravens mollywopping the Dolphins, but the Ravens just continue to roll, looking good. Lamar Jackson and company. My only gripe with that game was you're up 40 points and you basically got the 1 seed locked. Why is Lamar Jackson still playing that late in the game? Like a guy with injury history. I would say, get Huntley some playing time. I know this next week he'll probably play mostly the whole game since everything's pretty much locked up for them. But I would have got him out of the game sooner.
Yeah, you don't want your franchise player, taking undue risk, especially in a game where you're up that many points. But maybe they were pushing to get that MVP.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's been the big hot discussion about.
Yeah.
Is it Lamar? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it Brock Purdy? Which, after the Ravens game, I think the Brock Purdy discussion was kind of put to bed. But I think Lamar pretty much solidified that he is the MVP this year with that performance. They've blown out they've blown out the Dolphins now. They've blown out Detroit.
Yep.
Seattle, and there's one more I can't remember, but all good teams that are probably going to make the playoffs. So they've been a juggernaut all year. Everybody. Yeah, they've been a juggernaut all year. I don't see anybody really getting in their way.
Yeah. Dolphins, they have a big one this week with the Bills. I mean, you're fighting for the playoff.
That's for the division title, isn't it?
Yep. Bills could be 2 seed or they could fall all the way out of the playoffs. So, I mean, they need this win bad for everything to, kind of work out right. And that would be a hell of a turnaround for the Bills if they can win this last game and be the 2 seed after everything that they went through this season.
They're in the perfect position that any team wants to be in.
Yeah.
As far as we control our destiny. We're not dependent on anybody else winning or losing to get in. All we have to do is win, and we get a playoff spot. And I think you kind of have to take solace in that.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to discuss on, because the Bears have been winning a lot lately, they could potentially finish the season 8-9, which is a 5-game advantage from the last season. Justin Fields, Bears, I feel like they're in a super dilemma at this point. I feel like with this number 1 overall pick, you either got to trade it or go get Justin Fields' guy and Marvin Harrison Jr., not draft a quarterback. And at the rate for what a 1-1 quarterback goes for at this point, I know I sent you a big thing on Twitter earlier about the financial breakdown of drafting 1-1 rookie contract, first re-signing Justin Fields, just about the range of Daniel Jones's contract. I mean, I would take Justin Fields and just work with what you got, because you've seen a kind of playbook out there, and it's the Lamar Jackson playbook. And I think Fields has the ability to play to a Lamar Jackson kind of play style. So if I'm the Bears, that's where I stick.
I believe that if he can develop his passing game a little bit better, I think he needs to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. I think he holds on to the ball longer than anybody in the NFL, and it's not even close. I definitely think Fields has the potential to be a starter in this league, no doubt. But based on the simple fact of, which I didn't get a chance to go all the way through that post that you shared with me, but just going down to the simple fact of, if you draft Caleb Williams, or a quarterback, let's just say, but it's probably going to be Caleb Williams, you don't have to pay him for 4 years. You're going to have to pay Justin Fields in the next year or so. Yeah, so you can franchise tag him, but still, that's like the league average. So he's making like 25, 30 million a year.
It's a good chunk of change.
And I just don't know if he's worth that right now. Yeah. And he's gonna ask for a lot of money, because that's just the quarterback market.
That's the quarterback, yeah.
Right. And so I think that if you're the Bears, I know it's going to be a tough decision, being that Fields has played pretty well the last 2 months of the season, and they have won some games. But I think you have to you get what you can get for him, because I think there's plenty of teams out there that would trade for him. I would love for Atlanta to trade for him. I would love it.
He would look perfect.
I mean, he would fit into that system perfect.
Yeah,
like
perfect.
perfectly.
It would be great.
So, I think that he would be a great fit for Atlanta. So I think you have to take the quarterback in the draft this coming up year, get rid of Fields, get what you can get for him, and, build from there. Because they already said they're bringing Eberflus back, the coach. So.
Yeah, just move it. Just if I'm Fields, I want out. That's what I would be saying.
I mean, I think you're going to get more money if you're Fields, if you are okay with being traded.
Yeah, you go out and try and seek something. That's kind of how I think.
I mean, he's from Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia.
Those fucking Masters commercials.
Yes. Oh, babe, I wanna true. Lord. All right, we'll move on from the Justin Fields thing. We'll move on from the Bears thing. The last big game that I thought was of noteworthy was the Chiefs getting 18 points from Harrison Butker, winning 25-17. I know we keep bringing the Chiefs up, but, dude, they really are in trouble at this point. I think it is first round and out. And, I mean, you had one touchdown, team total touchdown, in a game that was against a bad secondary in the Bengals.
Yeah, it's the same old story with the Chiefs this past game. It was the offense just couldn't produce. The defense played, great. Holding the Bengals to 17 points. They played well enough to win. I think it's pretty bad, though. You only scored 25, and 18 of those points were scored by the kicker. That's not good.
Not good.
Another bad drop pass by Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Probably a touchdown if he just catches the damn ball. Travis Kelce, again, another no-show. Isaiah Pacheco looking like a damn Scooby-Doo cartoon running down the field.
He looked like the kid running with jeans on.
It's like he's just so – I don't even know how to describe it. Like he just is like he's trying so hard. Like all of his head's bobbing up and down. His freaking arms are like flailing around. He doesn't have great form as a runner.
No,
like
I respect Pacheco,
but he runs hard. Like he runs so hard, dude. You have to respect that. Like
God, I'd be scared to get in his way.
He's an angry little man,
Yes, and you're running for a job.
But he had some really good 18 carries, 130 yards. I mean, I think that's the path if you're the Bengals. Obviously, your receivers are just refuse to catch the ball. So you kind of have to ride Pacheco, and you kind of have to – they have Samaje Perine now. You kind of have to get him involved, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well. So I think it's going to be really, really hard for the Chiefs to make it back to the Super Bowl this year. I think there is a path there. Because as long as you have Mahomes, it's kind of like, I know we say it every week, kind of like you have Mahomes, you have Brady, you have Manning. You believe that you have a chance no matter what.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I don't know that they can – I don't know, right the ship per se, but there's a path there in the AFC to pull themselves, up by the collar and bring themselves right back. And obviously you have Mahomes at the helms, anything is possible. And we've seen him time and time again will teams in moments when they probably didn't deserve or belong to be. So I'm not going to write them out. I'm not going to write the Chiefs out.
Also, the defense, I think it's playing at a caliber that could get them they could make a run in the playoffs just based on defense, having Mahomes and playing really good defense. Because I think I texted you, I said Spagnuolo deserves defensive coach of the year.
Don't know if it's a thing, but we're going to call it one.
Because that second half against Cincinnati, it was, they shut him out in the second half. It was perfectly called defensive game.
Yeah.
And they got Legere, one of the best corners in the game. I think he's one of the only corners that has not given up a touchdown this year.
Yeah. Snead has shut down pretty much every opponent that he's faced all year. I do believe in that defense. Their defense is probably the best Chiefs defense that they've ever had.
Arguably have one of the best secondaries in the league.
Yeah. I'll agree with that too. They are locked down. It seems like everything that they do is the right move. They're on time. They're patient, and everything seems to work out for them. I can see it to where everything starts working together. I think maybe if they involve Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a pass catcher a little bit, that would be good for their offense. I can see that being a secret weapon come the postseason, but I don't know if they're holding back, because he was a great pass catcher in college. And I think that was a big reason why Mahomes wanted him so badly. And they never used him as a pass catcher, I feel like. And when they did, a couple weeks ago, he tore up the Patriots.
Yeah, he was all over them.
Yeah. All right. That would be pretty much mostly all of the large games. I can't think of anything else. I kind of went through and made show notes about what I thought was worth talking about. I know that we discussed lightly about the MVP race. I think Lamar has locked it up at this point, no matter what happens. I don't think we're going to see a lot of starters very long this weekend for a lot of positions. I think San Fran has their positioning pretty much locked up. I guess they could be playing for the second seed as long as they're playing the Rams, who are fighting to get in, so I could see it. I know McCaffrey was basically sitting out most of last game because they were in good position to win that game against the Commanders. But if McCaffrey has a big game, say he blows off, could he steal it with Lamar being out, or is it basically just the best quarterback on the best team award at this point?
I think in the last few years we've seen that it's going to be pretty much always a quarterback award. So, yeah, I think Lamar is probably going to be winning, and it's basically, if you look at it, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, which I don't know if Burrow's won an MVP, but
no, yeah, it's not.
But I mean, he's an MVP caliber player though,
yeah,
so
yeah.
Hurts, he was another guy that was in the conversation. So, yeah, it's a quarterback award at this point. They're not going to give it to McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill unless they just put up astronomical numbers.
It'd have to be an insane thing.
That's the only way. Yeah, I mean, it's a quarterback league,
Yeah, it is. Quarterbacks make the money. I think it's theirs for the taking. I think Lamar is going to run away with it. It's going to come down to another MVP. If Lamar wins this MVP, it'll be 2. If he wins a Super Bowl, 2 MVPs in the Super Bowl with the Ravens, a historic franchise, and everything that he's done, the records that he's already set, broken as a rusher and passer. I mean, he's on track for a Hall of Fame career. And who would have thought, this little guy coming from Louisville that just ran around a lot and everybody called a running back would make this type of career. And good for him, good for Lamar. I like Lamar, I respect Lamar, everything that he's put in this league. Whew, Lamar Jackson. He's fun to watch, dude.
He's gotten so much better as a passer, too.
So much better. He's got, like, he used to just throw what I felt like was either a lob or a laser, but now he's got, like, this, it's almost like a soft touch. It just lands in people's hands.
Yes, and he's kind of mastered the art of the sidearm, changing up his arm angle and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see Lamar easily being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope that for him. He's a humble dude. I know he is a vibrant personality, but at the end of the day, you can tell he knows who he is. He knows himself, and he trusts himself, and he gave himself. He took a chance on himself, and it's paying off. And everything that the Ravens paid for him is paying off. They're in the best position in the NFL, I'd say, and they're primed to make a run despite everything. Let's talk some playoff scenarios, and then we'll jump right into doing our picks. Because I feel like I have to talk about this. And then at the end, maybe we can talk some fantasy football highlights because we did have championships this last weekend. Bills get in. And I know I texted these to you, but I'm just going to read down through them and kind of get them. Bills will be the 2 seed with a win. That's the easiest thing. They could be with a loss. They're the 6th seed if the Titans win and the Steelers lose. That would be Ravens winning and Jaguars losing. They would be the 7th seed with a loss if the Steelers win and the Titans win, or the Ravens win and the Jags win. And they are completely out if the Steelers beat the Ravens and the Jags beat the Titans. That's with a loss, which to go from a 2 seed to being out is you just got to win and get in. That's basically the gist of it. If you lose, it's up to the football universe at that point to kind of see if you're deserving of getting in. And I think the Dolphins will be playing for their life. Steelers is another good one. If they win, they're a 6th seed with a Ravens loss, Titans win, and a Dolphins win. If they win, they'll be a 7th seed if the Dolphins win, Jags win, or if the Titans win and the Bills win. Even if they win and the Bills and Jags win, they're out. Now, if they lose, they could still be the 7th seed if the Titans beat the Jaguars. But if they lose and the Jags win, they're completely out. And this is where I thought it was really probably some of the funniest outcomes because it involves your team, the Falcons. The Falcons could get in. The Falcons, you could watch a Falcons home game, 4 seed, hosting a playoff game. Falcons get in at 8-9 with a win if the Bucs happen to lose to the Panthers, which anything can happen. The Vikings could get in at 8-9 with a win and the Seahawks loss. So that means there is a potential for 2 8-9 teams at the same time in the NFC bracket. Falcons is the 4 seed hosting a home playoff game, and the Vikings is the 7 seed. That's asinine. And the last thing I put in there was Green Bay can get in with a loss to Chicago if the Bucs beat the Panthers and the Falcons beat the Saints, which that's really good for Green Bay because their probability is pretty high. Now, if the Saints beat the Falcons, they're the 7th seed, and Tampa is the 4th seed. So that whole division, the NFC South, is just up for grabs at this point. Yeah. But if the Bucs win, they lock it in, then it's basically who's going to get the 7th seed. I think that'll be the outcome. So the Bucs are playing for that division, basically. Now, if the Bucs lose, Saints win, they get in. Bucs lose, Falcons wins. Falcons are the 4th seed, which is, oh my God, so crazy. But that'll be all of your playoff scenarios. It'll be a fun week of football. I say we just run down real quick on this week's picks. We'll go ahead and get them done. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we jump into these picks?
No, all that playoff scenario shit, it just makes my head hurt. So, I just, wait till the games are over, and then I know who's in the playoffs.
All the shit that I sent you. This last week, I went 12-4. You went 11-5. That brings us to, myself at 146-92. Which is a 61% win percentage. And then you are at 150-88, a 63% win percentage. I would have to somehow cover 4 games somehow and beat you. So basically you could take all of the picks that I put in and call a draw. But I hope you're not a bitch and you play this as you would.
Well, you know I'm going to play it out, bro. Shit.
We're going to see how it goes. Maybe I can catch you on some wild shit. I might bet some crazy shit, but it's been a fun season. We're definitely doing pretty good. Next year we definitely need to keep like a $5 bet or 25-cent bet or something on these games and pull together at the end of the season, see where we're at. We'll probably have given up my house and my car at that point, because that's what happens when I start putting money on things. But aside from the point, let's get it going. I know that you had Chicago -3 hit. You had the over in that game hit. That is back-to-back weeks now that your bet of the hit is week, or bet of the week is hit.
I think so.
I said bet of the hit has week.
Yep, that's 2 weeks in a row. I'm gonna don't call it a hot streak. I gotta hit this week.
You hit 3 in a row, buddy. We're gonna have to put you on some kind of watch as an insider, a betting insider. All right, we have no Thursday games, ladies and gentlemen. We have Saturday, Sunday, And let's see. Saturday and Sunday is all that we have this week. So much football crammed into Sunday, especially because there's 2 games on Saturday. Saturday, January 6th, 4:30, we have the Steelers going to the Ravens. Murph, Ravens probably sitting most of their guys. Who do you think walks away a winner here?
I'm going to take Pittsburgh. This is a crucial game for them. Like you said, Ravens are probably setting most of their starters, so I think Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh takes this one.
Yeah, I think I'm right there. I think Pittsburgh needs this win bad. This is their only chance really to get in. They have to win this game and try and hope for some help. And it's crazy to think that they could be 10-7 and not get in. That would be the 3rd best team in that division at 10-7. It's impressive. That's a tough division.
Yeah, and I think this is a side tangent, but I think that the NFL needs to adjust their playoff format. If you've got 3 teams that are hella good in one division, they should get to the playoffs instead of, like we were talking about, the NFC team is probably going to have a losing record.
8 and 9,
yeah.
It should be the top 8 teams from each division.
Right, they should do away with the divisions. I know it's fun and it makes for rivalries, but just take the top 8 teams in the conference and then have a play-in tournament. There you go.
Beautiful, perfect. All right, I've got the Steelers. You've got the Steelers. The 8:15 game is a win and get in game between the Texans and the Colts. Texans go to Indianapolis to play the Colts. Ooh, this is a tough one for me. This is super tough, bro. But I've been riding Stroud all season. He's 21-5, 3,800 yards. Singletary has been running out of his mind. As much as I would love to see the Colts get in through everything, and I do love Gardner Minshew, I can't help but be a Stroud boy, and that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, Stroud boys stand tall. I think I'm
Stroud
gonna go
boy for life.
I'm gonna go Houston as well.
Yes, sir.
It's a bold
like
pick,
that.
but
It is a bold pick because the Colts at home, they're 4-4. Texans are 3-4 on the road. It's a tough pick, dude. It really is. And the line is Houston is 1-point favorite. So over under 47.5. I do think there'll be points scored. Texans can score some points. Colts, they do give up points on the ground. So I have a feeling there'll be some rushing yards given up. But Texans also likely to give up points. Tank Dell obviously out for the season, so we got to see if Nico Collins can step up to the call. See if Stroud, as a rookie, this is basically a playoff game. You got to win and make it in. You know what I'm saying? This is a playoff game. We've seen how he did against Georgia last year, so to him, I'm hoping this is the same scenario. He shows out, balls out. All right, we have Sunday, 1 o'clock. We have Browns going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Browns not playing Flacco. They're playing, I can't remember who they signed, but it's not PJ Walker. Grant Delpit, maybe?
Yeah, I'm going with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 7-point favorite. They were eliminated last week. I think they're just gonna want to take out their aggression on somebody. And I think Cleveland, without them starting Flacco, was really gonna hurt their chances of winning. So I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
Yeah. This game basically means nothing. There's nothing. This game changes nothing for anybody at all. The Browns will stay in their position. Even if the Bengals won, they cannot get into the playoffs at all in any scenario. So I think this is just kind of going to be the Bengals taking out some frustrations from this last week. All right, we have 1 o'clock. Vikings going to Detroit to play the Lions. Vikings playing for their playoff lives, but I don't think they can muster enough. I think Detroit is pissed off, and they're going to put some pain. Oh, God. I'm going to die. They're going to put some pain into Minnesota.
Yeah, watching Minnesota last week against who'd they play? Green Bay. They looked absolutely pathetic. They couldn't do anything. I think the wheels have finally fallen off of this offense. Defensively, it kind of seems like they're packing it in. Detroit, like you said, they're coming off a very controversial loss. Even though they've got their division locked up, they're still going to... I think Campbell, he knows the importance of staying consistent you might want to start, or you might have some guys on a pitch count, but I think most of your starters are still going to play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm taking Detroit.
I think we'll see some Hendon Hooker. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will get a bunch of play. I think there'll be some fun guys that the Lions have been hiding in the shadows and the future of the Lions.
This is a great week for trick plays. Like, we're going to see a lot of trick plays this week.
A lot of fun stuff. See, like throw off the tape type plays. Like,
right,
prepare for this. It's like,
see some
not
wonky,
really in the play.
Some wonky formations.
Yeah, some ring around the rosies and shit.
Yeah.
1 o'clock, we have Jaguars going to Tennessee to play the Titans. I know Trevor Lawrence practiced today. I will say the Jaguars are needing this win desperately. I'm going to say that they win this game.
Yeah, I think they're going to win as well. But I could also see Tennessee
playing upset.
Yeah, playing the spoiler. They haven't had a very good year. I know Vrabel's disappointed in this team this year. The city pretty much is disappointed in the team. So, this would go a long way for morale if they could win this game.
This is also a good week to bet player props because a lot of guys are trying to hit incentives, and I know one of them is DeAndre Hopkins is 7 receptions and like 40-some yards away, 49 yards or 39 yards away from like $1 million incentive boost. So I could see it to where they're shoveling the ball downfield to D-Hop, and he just goes dumb and puts a piss pants in the Jaguars, and they've done this in the past. They never finished the season strong, so I could see where the Titans pull this off, but I'm definitely going Jaguars. All right, 1 o'clock we have Jets-Patriots, a game that does not matter except for to anybody, basically, except for Bill Belichick. And I'd say Bill Belichick gets one over, pulls a coaching gig all time, says fuck you to the Jets, and then decides it's time to walk away.
Yeah, I'm going to take New England as well, just for the fact of what you said. Belichick hates the Jets. I think he's going to do whatever he can to game plan, scheme. The Jets already suck offensively anyway, and then you have Belichick, who is a defensive mastermind. He's going to have his defense ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised. The over-under is 30.5, so yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 13-7 game or a 13-10 game. If that, yeah.
I think it's impressive that Garrett Wilson has somehow put up a 1,000-yard season this year. Hats off to him.
I know, yeah. That's news to me. Yeah. So shout out to Garrett Wilson.
1,000-yard season. That's impressive. All right, we have the Falcons going to New Orleans to play the Saints. I do believe that the Falcons played better this last week, but I do think the Saints have the better team. I'm going to take the Saints here.
I'm going to take New Orleans as well. Atlanta never wins in the Dome. It's like it's just one of those things where it just seems like New Orleans always beats Atlanta at the Dome, no matter what. So this is for the division, basically. If I think the Saints win, they're in, right?
Yep.
Because they beat the Buccaneers last week.
No, the Buccaneers won the first matchup. The Buccaneers have the tiebreaker between them. I think it comes down to I can't remember what the tiebreaker is, but the Bucs win and they win the 4 seed.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take New Orleans either way.
New Orleans, though, could be the 7 seed if somebody loses. I didn't play the Saints scenario. That's a whole lot of things. But the Saints are, basically this whole next, 3 teams, Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, it's going to be, I think, a good game at the end of it all. New Orleans is a 3-point favorite. I could see it being just that. It's going to come down to the wire, I think. And Taylor Heineke. Playoff Heineke would be fun, right?
It would be very fun. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to see it this year.
Yeah. I think this is how they decide that they need to pursue a free agent quarterback, and we'll see how the Falcons go about that. But I'm taking the Saints. Another 1 o'clock slate game that matters to the Buccaneers. We got the Buccaneers going to Carolina to play the Panthers. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Panthers sit Bryce Young kind of safe him. Just don't roll him out there. The chances that your franchise quarterback gets hurt on the last game of the year for absolutely no reason at all. I'd say Buccaneers roll this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay as well. This is for the division title. They're going to be fired up, ready to go. I think Baker he's going to continue that momentum from last week. I think he's going to have a big game. I think Mike Evans is going to show out. Rashad White. Yeah, I'm going Buccaneers.
I like that. All right, we have 425. Bears going to Green Bay to play the Packers. I think Bears play spoiler here. They're so hot, they can't help it. So I'm going to ride Bears.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, dude. I was going to say, I think Chicago takes this one. Fields has been playing well. The defense is white hot right now for Chicago.
So good.
Green Bay has been inconsistent at best this year. So, yeah, I'm fading Green Bay big time. I've lost so much money on them.
Green Bay 3-point favorite. Over under is 44.5. All right, 425 game that does not matter to anybody. Broncos are playing the Raiders. I know last week I said we'd see an abysmal performance from the Broncos. It was abysmal, but they still won. I want to see the Raiders go out with a bang, hire Antonio Pierce, play spoiler to the Broncos season. I'm going to take the Raiders.
Why do you keep... Are you like reading my mind or something? Because that's exactly what I was going to say is I think Vegas goes out and wins this game and kind of locks up the coaching job for Antonio Pierce. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. So
I tried to prep this week very well to make sure that I could try and catch you. But it just seems like I tapped into your brain.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yep. Watch, we're both going to go undefeated this week, which would be a good season, and I won't be mad about it. 425 CBS, we have Philly going to New York to play the Giants. Tyrod Taylor has been playing well. I would be highly disappointed if the Eagles lost this game. It doesn't really affect anything if they do, but
I just think just for pride's sake, Philly needs to win this game.
For pride's sake, I think we're going to have a revival game this week because of A.J. Brown. I'm going to say a big win, Birds.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll go out and they're 5-point favorite. I think they could cover that.
Yeah,
their defense has to show up though. Defense has to show up.
For the sake of my sanity, please show up. All right, 425, we have the Seahawks going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Seahawks desperately need a win to try and sneak in. They could be a 6 seed, but they most likely would be a 7 seed with a win. Cardinals have been playing well, but I think this last week was pretty much the Cardinals' Super Bowl. Gannon's return, Kyler Murray playing for his job, showing that he's the guy. I think the Seahawks find a way to win this one after the bad loss against the Steelers this last week.
Yeah, the Seahawks are desperate. They have to win this game. I'm kind of fading Arizona coming off a big emotional win. Gannon going up against his former team. Arizona, I could easily see Arizona winning this game though as well. I mean, they have potential to put up some points if you saw that last week. So I just think Seattle is more desperate, more hungry. Pete Carroll, I think he's just gonna. I don't know, but I'm gonna take Seattle.
Yeah, I got Seattle. I could see Cardinals winning it, but I'm gonna take Seattle. Give us another Geno Smith playoff game. All right, we have the Chiefs going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. I said I'd see an Easton Stick win this last week when I didn't think we're going to get it. I don't think we're going to get it this week, even though if the Chiefs lose, it doesn't impact their seeding. They're winning that division outright.
Is Mahomes playing this game?
I'm not sure.
Because Chargers are a 3.5-point favorite.
I haven't seen any reports that says Mahomes not playing, but I would think that he might play the first quarter. He might play a half, because even if they win or lose, it doesn't matter. They're the same seed. Their seeding is essentially locked. And I just see it as the Chiefs defense, no matter who they put out there, is going to be pretty good. I think Obviously, the coaching is done well enough to shut down whatever the Chargers produce, but you never know. I could see it anyway. But I'm going to take the Chiefs and say I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers won this game.
I'm going to go Kansas City as well, based on the defense.
Yeah.
I don't think LA, they just don't have a lot of heart. They don't have nothing to play for. You know, they're getting a new coach. Probably going to see a lot of changes in the locker room this offseason. I just don't know that they'll be able to get up to beat a team like the Chiefs, even if the Chiefs don't play a lot of their starters.
Yeah, I agree. All right. These next 3 games are 3 games that definitely matter. It is the Rams going into San Fran to play the 49ers. Rams definitely need this win. I know that they're probably making the playoffs even without it, but it helps their seeding if they win. I'd like to see the Rams beat the 49ers here. I really would. I don't think the 49ers seeding moves very much. It's like if the Cowboys win, they're the 2 seed. Oh, man. Or wait. No, the 49ers are the 2 seed. Cowboy. I think I have my numbers mixed up. 49ers
Cowboys are the 2 seed, I think.
Yeah, Cowboys are the 2 seed. 49ers win the division even with a loss because they beat the Cowboys and the Eagles, so it doesn't really matter at this point what they do. So I had all of my shit mixed up on the 49ers. I see the Rams winning this game, though.
I can see the Rams winning. I think just for parity's sake between me and you, I'm going to take the Niners here.
Okay. I respect that. About time we mix one up. I need the Rams to desperately win this game just for myself. All right, we have the Cowboys going into Washington. Washington has been known to play up to opponents. Cowboys got a big victory this last week. I would love to see Washington win, give the Eagles a chance to steal that 2 seed back, but I don't see it happening. I will take Dallas to finish strong.
Yeah, taking Dallas as well.
Yeah. All right, I like that. All right, and then the last game, 8:20, is the most influential game. It is the Bills going down to Miami to play the Dolphins. The Dolphins, who are 7-1 at home.
I'm taking Buffalo here. I'm taking Buffalo.
I just can't believe in the Dolphins. I can't. I know that they are 11-5 and they are 7-1 at home, but they just never beat anybody worth a shit. So I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to say Josh Allen is still him, and I'm going to ride that one till the end. Josh Allen is a guy, dude. That's it, plain and simple.
Yeah, I think back to the wall, you're going to take Josh Allen in pretty much any situation.
Any situation.
Dolphins also lost Bradley Chubb, which is a huge blow to that defense, which is already kind of questionable in the first place. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of points. I think Buffalo takes this one.
Yeah, 49.5 is the over/under. Buffalo is a 3-point favorite. I would say that the Bills cover. I'd say it'd be a 10-point game. That's what I'm calling it. 10-point game. All right, Murph. That is our final week of the season. This is the last time we get to do weekly picks aside from the playoffs. Everything is set. We are locked in. You want to give us a bet of the week?
Yeah, we just talked about it. I'm going to take Buffalo to cover -3.
Good pick.
And I'm going to take the over on that, 49.5. I think there's be plenty of offense in this game.
Okay. I like that. I'm going with a gut pick. I'm going to say Philly 5-point cover over 41.5. I think we're going to have a blow-up game. Blow-up game. We're about to show out. Our defense is going to fucking show up. We're going to go into the playoffs hot. I'm following my heart. I'm trusting my gut. That's what we're going with. And DeAndre Swift scores a touchdown. Lock it in.
All right, I'll put D Swift anytime touchdown.
Anytime TD, lock it in. They're going to get one for the boy. That is our bets of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Our picks are locked. It's been a ride. It's been an NFL season. We're going to enjoy it. College football national championship Monday. We got a lot of football to watch this weekend, a lot of big games, a lot of fun games. We're going to know our playoff stuff come this next week. Next episode will be a big one. Some big things coming. We got our cameras coming. I'm going to send Murph a cam in the mail tomorrow. So by this next episode, you hear this, and the next one, bada bang, you got a camera. You're going to get to look at our ugly faces, look at our backgrounds, see all the things that we've been trying to hide from you guys for a year, and we'll keep it crispy. Got some work to do in the field. It'll teach me how to be a videographer and learn how to edit video, so I better get good in no time. With all that said, Murph, is there anything else that you would like to say before we head on out of here?
But other than that, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah. Aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, that's about everything that we got. It was a good episode, a short piece. Enjoy our fantasy football chit-chat. We love you guys. Can't wait for the playoffs. We hope everybody enjoys what we have this weekend. Don't take it for granted because we are almost out of football. With that said, we love you guys. Peace.
Peace.